Welcome back to Root Feelings, a podcast dedicated to learning and growing from our lived experiences. And Happy New Year to everyone. I hope that these last few weeks have given you some time to rest, reflect on your accomplishments, and maybe even some of the challenges that you've overcame this past year. As we bring in the new year, I also am bringing in this podcast as the only host. As of a few weeks ago, Michelle decided to step back from the podcast. It's been very challenging. It was very challenging for us to make time and prioritize the podcast. However, I have always felt particularly passionate and motivated to do this, and that is why I'm here alone with y'all. So I want to thank everyone for listening, and also to Michelle for having encouraged me, for showing me that even though it's intimidating to be here alone, that it's not as bad as I thought it was. So I want to thank Michelle and wish her a exciting new journey. I also want to reflect on how challenging it was to have to part ways. I think that I did have a lot of fun working with her and doing this, and we also had some challenges along the way as far as figuring out what the topics we were going to cover, making time for this. And as I mentioned, this is something that I've been particularly passionate about and something that I've been contemplating for a really long time. And so when she decided to step back, it was kind of like, oh shit, like, how am I going to do this? You mean I have to do it alone? And so I was very scared for the last few weeks. I was hesitating, especially because I didn't know how to approach this, and I've been like worried about the direction, not because I don't care for it, but because I want to make sure that this is something that resonates with people. So, the reason why I started this podcast and I had this idea of Root Feelings was because I personally have had to do a lot of relearning, not only for my own personal sake, but also to learn how to show up in my community. And I think that spaces that allow people to grow, to make mistakes, to unlearn some of the tendencies that we've developed is really important. And I think that's what's going to connect our communities more. It's going to help us be more compassionate, as well as help us hold each other accountable to better standards. Because we need those in our lives. We need to create safe environments for each other. And so, while I don't know where this podcast is going or, what's going to happen, I have some ideas of hosting interviews, inviting people like I did with my sister, so that y'all can see the journey it took to get to where I am. And I just want to thank everyone for showing up, for listening, for dedicating some time to listening to what I have to say. So, thank you. So, for this podcast, I am going to dedicate it to this quote that came to my mind by the author and activist Alice Walker, where she has a book called We Are the Ones We've Been Waiting For. And truthfully, I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that I am the one that I've been waiting for. You know? I'm the one that needs to show up for myself and learn how to listen to my innermost desires. And as I said, creating this space is really important. So rather than waiting around for people to show up, for people to make time for this, I need to do that. And so I want to talk a little bit about those hesitancies and the inspiration that I have for this, which I have to thank a lot of the people around me, a lot of the people that I've learned from across the years. And yeah, so this is about that. This is about no longer waiting. This is about showing up for yourself and creating systems and routines that support your dreams. I first actually heard this quote in my previous role. I worked as a program manager with Student Activist. I was actually a part of that organization as a student as well. And this organization was dedicated to addressing the climate crisis and to taking action to create socially and environmentally just campus. And a lot of it, especially when it comes to the social and environmental dilemmas that we're in, I think a lot of us are hoping that someone will do something about it. Whether if we believed a few decades ago that the rich people were going to solve these issues, or that, you know, your parent was going to take care of those issues for you. I think there comes a point in our time, in our lives, where we realize like that's also not sustainable. One, because you can't depend on people, you can't depend on others, but also because you have something to offer. You know, like you also have ideas, you also have visions. So putting the trust and the expectations that other people know what you want for the world is also not it. Just because I don't know what else to say, but it's not it, you know? It's not about waiting for others, it's about us taking action. And as I said, I've been truly inspired by the people around me, friends, peers, my partner, who just show up for themselves. And I'm like, wow, like, how do they do that? And, you know, I want to acknowledge that there's some people that are just born with that fuck you energy. You know, they just know what they want and are very clear on their vision. And then there's some of us who we don't even know what that vision is, you know, and it takes some time for us to even envision that reality for ourselves. And so I think the more that we can surround ourselves, and not just the more that we can surround ourselves and be inspired by people that just do it no matter what, I think the more we're going to cultivate that fuck it energy and just do it. So going back to, so actually today I was having a conversation with my partner about this, because like I said, I've been hesitating, I've been worried, I've been scared. I don't know if this, I worry that this podcast, or I've been worried about how this is going to be received by other people, and how, if it's going to resonate. And so, but I have a lot of passion for this. I have this desire to use my voice for the good, to show to people that even if you've made mistakes, because I fucked up a lot of times, across the years. I've hurt people. Y'all heard it with my sister. I've hurt friends. I've hurt partners. I've hurt my colleagues, peers. And along the way, I had to take some responsibility for that. I had to be like, wait, I, why do I keep doing that? That even if you've made mistakes, that those mistakes don't define you. In fact, as one of my friends, Carrie, says, that mistakes are actually good. That even if you make mistakes, those mistakes don't define you. And in fact, they're showing you something. And so along the way, I've made a lot of mistakes. I've hurt a lot of people, and I've had to take a step back from certain roles, from responsibilities, because I've had to learn for myself, like, what is it that fulfills me, as well as, like, what are my boundaries? And so those mistakes have illuminated some of those areas for myself. And for a really long time, I was stuck in a cycle of shame, of guilt, of feeling like a failure, because I felt like I was missing a lot of things. And so, I no longer want to live in that state where I am worried about what people are going to say or think or react to what I have to say. When I'm starting to realize that if I lean into who I am and become more authentic, then the right people will align. And I also hope that the people that I did hurt, I did, to the people that I did hurt, that they understand a little bit, and it opens a door, and that it opens a door to not necessarily to be best friends or to be friends or anything, but to build a community that recognizes that everyone has something to offer, that you can learn something from everyone, and you don't have to like hold on to the mistakes that other people made. And so to the people that I've hurt along the way, I want to apologize. And I wish that I could speak to you, directly, and to say, I'm sorry for everything that I did to hurt you, um, for speaking to you the way that I did, for not showing up the way that I did, and for you to know that that is not how I'm moving forward anymore. For you to know that I am doing this because I want to prevent that harm. I want to prevent some of that hurt, and I want to connect with people that are struggling to even connect with themselves. And then by default, being reckless with their community and causing harm to others. So, yeah, I guess I just felt a need to share that and to acknowledge that part of standing up for yourself and believing in yourself is learning how to let go of the mistakes that you've made, is learning how to embrace that person and understand, like, wow, like you were really struggling and you didn't see it at that point in time. But now you're here. You are committed to, as the podcast says, you're committed to learning and growing from your lived experiences. So this is dedicated to everyone that I love, that I've had the pleasure to spend time with, and I really hope that all of your personal visions and your dreams are something that become reality. So I want to dedicate this episode to all of us who are committed to growing. So yeah, thank you for listening. Truthfully, I had another idea for this episode, but I think this is what was needed to be said today. And I just want to thank everyone for listening, for supporting my visions, and for being a part of this journey. So thank you to everyone, and I hope that this new year is starting off on a good foot. And I just want to wish everyone a happy new year, and I hope that you feel rested and motivated, and you're no longer waiting for others, but you show up for yourself. So thank you for listening to Root Feelings, and take care, y'all. Bye.